Hello, I hope you're having a great Tuesday. Back again with the Friendship War. I hope you guys are liking this book. I'm really liking it. We are on chapter 20, Fad Gone Bad. So I heard you'll trade 8 of these for 1 bracelet. Is that true? It's Audrey Harkin. She's in Mrs. Casey's homeroom, and she's looking through my bag of fancy buttons. And that's right, and you can pick whatever ones you want. Nice, here you go. She slaps the bracelet on the lunch table and begins choosing. I've still got at least 100 of the specialty buttons here at school, which is good because they're very popular. But I've also got 6 other bags of nice vintage buttons in reserve, the same ones that I'd planned to dump onto a tray last week at Ellie's lunchtime button show. As Audrey leaves, I say, be sure to tell the kids in homeroom that I'm looking for bracelets and necklaces, and that I've got lots of really great buttons. My new business is bouncing along quite nicely on this fine Tuesday morning, and everybody loves my sign, Grace's Gorgeous Goodies. So far, I've traded for 9 bracelets, 3 necklaces, and 1 anklet, all made by Ellie. And I've still got 15 minutes before lunch is over. If all goes well, by the end of the day, most of Ellie's originals are going to belong to one person, me. Hank's been watching since lunch period began, and I can feel his eyes, feel his questions. I feel some disapproval too, and it's not because I'm getting rid of so many great old buttons. I already let him pick through my stuff and choose all of the ones he wanted for free, for his collection. So that's not what he disapproves of. No, Hank can tell something else is going on here. I haven't shown him the broken pinwheel button, but he can see what I'm doing has an edge to it, something a little sharp, a little harsh, a little grim. And he's right, because this isn't about fun with buttons. This is war. Grace's Gorgeous Goodies and Ellie's originals are locked in a desperate battle to the death. Okay, that's too dramatic. But no matter what this is called, so far I am winning. It feels wonderful. I've seen Ellie look this way a few times from over there, her own special lunch table, trying to figure out what I'm doing, but she's too stuck up to walk over and take a look. And she's probably not smart enough to send a spy, which is what I would do. Besides, it doesn't matter if she knows what I'm doing. She can't stop me, because when it comes to buttons, I'm probably the richest kid in the world. And here comes another customer, Brooke. I like your sign. So what kind of goodies have you got here? Oh, you've seen a lot of these already. She picks up the same bag of fancy buttons that she looked through last Friday, when I got her to trade me for that pinwheel. I love this seahorse. And another one, a perfect pair. Can't believe I didn't see these. Want to trade something for them? Actually, I love that bracelet you've got. So how about taking both those seahorses plus any other 6 buttons you want for the bracelet? I don't know. This is a great bracelet. It really is. You should probably hang on to it. Yeah. And honestly, I don't want Brooke to get involved again. But she's poking around in the button bag. Ooh, check out this one. Looks like a bluebird. Do you know why this one's transparent, but the seahorses aren't? Hank could tell you. Hank looks up from his cup of fruit salad, and Brooke takes the button to him at the far end of the table. The bird is celluloid. That's why the color is so bright, but the plastic still lets the light shine through. And this button is vintage, probably at least 70 years old. The seahorses are carved out of bakelite, which is much denser. They're vintage, too. It's a thorough answer, but he's not happy that I pulled him into my business, because Brooke's cute blue ribbon bracelet with the small white buttons, it's almost mine. And Hank knows it, and he wants no part of what I'm doing. Brooke is back staying beside me, and I make her an offer. How about this? You can take the seahorses, the bluebird, plus 7 other buttons. 10 great buttons for the bracelet, because it's such a good one. I think that's fair. Okay, deal! And just like that, I've got another one of Ellie's originals. As Brooke walks away, Hank is getting ready to go dump his lunch tray. But instead of standing up, he slides down toward my end of the table. I've never seen you wearing bracelets or jewelry, and it's not like Ellie's been using anything rare or fancy to make her stuff. So how come you're collecting it? Simple, because when Ellie figures out that I've got all of these, she's going to hate it. And there's not one thing she can do about it. I'm going to teach her a lesson. So, this is payback for getting dumped from her lunch table? That's part of it. Well, what's the rest? It's complicated. It would take all day to explain. Hank gives me a look. I figured out how gravitational orbits work. Do you think it's more complicated than that? Actually, yes. Figuring out what's going on between Ellie and me isn't the same as working math problems. If it were the same, all the wars in the world would be ended in a week. So, when does this war end? I shrug. When I've won, and when Ellie, hands off! I turn to look as Kevin shoves Cody. They're 2 tables away, and they each have a lunch tray covered with buttons. That one's mine, and you know it! Cody jumps to his feet and shoves Kevin back, then makes a grab for something on Kevin's tray, but he misses. Both trays fly at the far side of the table, and hundreds of buttons go bouncing across the floor. Kevin! Cody, stop it! Mrs. Casey and the custodian are headed their way, but Kevin stands up and gets both arms around Cody, and they wrestle each other to the floor. As Mrs. Casey and Mr. Roberts pull them apart, kids are yelling and squabbling and chasing the spilled buttons all over the cafeteria. It's like a riot, and it started in 3 seconds. Hank looks at the chaos all around us and then at me. When did I report on the Klondike Gold Rush last year? I read about how the prospectors and miners began fighting with each other. Looks like the Great Button Rush might be turning ugly. And your little war isn't so nice either. Then he takes his tray and leaves. I hate being scolded, especially when I deserve it, because Hank's right. I'm out for revenge here, and it's not pretty. I'm glad I didn't get to finish telling him the rest of my plan, because Ellie's going to get every one of her originals back, ripped up into tiny, ragged pieces. Hank would have been shocked to hear me say that, maybe even disgusted. Except I don't care. I'm being illogical, and I'm being unscientific, and I know that, and I understand that, and I accept it. Why? Because Ellie Emerson totally needs something she has never had, not once in her whole life. In her whole mean, spoiled, selfish life, she needs a crushing defeat. And that's what she's going to get, from me. A question starts to bubble in my mind. I try to push it away, but the words arrive anyway, and I can't ignore them. If I'm doing such a great job winning my war with Ellie, then how come I feel so awful? Chapter 21, Kitchen Time. Ben drops his backpack into the chair and stands there looking at the kitchen table, and then at me. What's up with the festival of weird foods? Nothing, and mind your own business. Ben studies the wreckage in front of me. A peach yogurt, a box of Thin Mints, a full roll of Ritz crackers, half a block of cheddar cheese, and 2 little cans of tomato juice. And you snarfed it in all in about 15 minutes, so yeah, I see that everything must be going totally fine. Mind your own business. He goes to the fridge. Hey, 1 yogurt left. He sits down across the table from me, peels back the foil cover, and begins eating. He uses a huge spoon and is making the most horrible sounds that he can, on purpose. Stop being disgusting. You ate that, and I'm disgusting? He finishes eating quietly and then sits there. I know he's not going to leave until I talk. The truth is, I'm waiting for him. But I still want him to mind his own business, after I ask him some questions. So, do you know how a fad works? He nods a little, shrugs a little. I think so, at least the basic. Something new shows up, everyone goes wild about it, everyone gets sick of it, and then it's over. That seems right. Sounds right, but how long does it take until everyone gets sick of something? Depends. You've seen those fidget spinners? Sure, there were tons at my school a while back, but hardly any now. Right, same at the high school. As a fad, it's over. It lasted pretty long because the companies making them kept coming up with changes, like the ones with LED lights. They were pretty slick. And another reason it lasted longer is because kids were plugged into all the stuff about them online. Still, even though spinners were super popular, once a fad starts to die, click, it disappears. But let's say that you wanted a fad to die before everyone gets totally sick of it. Is there a way to end one? Oh, so are we talking about the buttons again? Yes, buttons again. More like forever. Well, first of all, buttons aren't like silly bands or spinners, which kids have to go and buy. Almost anybody can get buttons, even if it's just a handful they pull off some old clothes. Buttons are all over the place, mostly for free. Yeah, I know. And buttons aren't exactly a new invention either, so I guess a button fad is kind of a special case. But you're the one who's been seeing this whole thing play out at your school. What do you think is keeping it alive? It's partly what you just said, that everybody's got some, and a lot of kids are trading them. There are so many different kinds, too. But it's also that kids keep coming up with new things to do with them, making up games, making crafty stuff like bracelets. I heard that some 4th graders have been using wire to make button sculptures. And on the bus home today, I saw this boy and he made a snake by stringing a couple hundred buttons onto a string. Tiny buttons at the tail, then gradually larger ones through the middle, then some different sized ones to make the head. Kind of creepy, but also cool. And tomorrow button snakes could be all over the place, or like button frogs, or bugs, who knows? Because a spinner does one thing, it spins. Buttons can do anything a kid can dream up, and everybody keeps wanting more and more buttons, and nobody seems to be getting sick of them either, except for me. Ben sits perfectly still, staring at nothing. Sometimes watching Ben feels like looking at myself in a mirror, because right now, I know what he's doing. He just got an idea, and now he's working on a theory, or maybe a plan, so I wait. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. And now Ben puts a serious look on his face. How much would you be willing to pay to kill the button fad? Pay? What do you mean? I mean, how badly do you want this fad to die? What would it be worth to you? It'd be worth a lot. Okay, good. Next question. How much do you know about economics? Somewhere between almost nothing and nothing? Not a problem. But the first thing I want to say is this. I'm not telling you to do anything, all right? I'm just going to explain a couple of concepts. About economics? Yes, economics. It's very interesting, and I guarantee that after I explain some stuff, you're going to get an idea about doing something, but I'm not telling you to do anything. You said that twice now. Because it's important. I narrow my eyes until I'm almost squinting at him. It sounds like this thing that you are not telling me to do might be dangerous, or get me into trouble, or both. And you don't want to be held responsible. Ben gives me a totally blank stare, no expression. You want to learn something about economics or not? Yes, so great teacher, teach me. Please, teach me. He ignores my sarcasm. Okay, but remember, I know you're not telling me to do anything at all. Correct. All right, tomorrow when we come back, it's called Supply and Demand. I hope you have a great Tuesday. Enjoy this chapter.